Ladies and gentlemen, Islam forces Israel to fight, and Israel is not just fighting for itself. Israel is fighting for the entire West. Just like all those brave American soldiers who landed in Sicily in 1943 and stormed the Normandy beaches in 1944, young Israeli men and women are fighting now for our freedom, are fighting for our civilization. And the jihad against Israel is not a war against Israel. It's a war against us all. We all are Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, like Bosnia, like Kosovo, like Nigeria, like Sudan, like the Caucasus, like Kashmir, like southern Thailand, like Western China, like the Philippines, Israel is exactly situated on the dividing line between the Dar al-Islam, the Islamic world, and the Dar al-Harb, the non-Islamic world. And it's no coincidence that it's precisely this dividing line that where blood is flowing and where war is raging in many, many areas. And we have to get rid of this politically correct fallacy that it's all about separate conflicts. It's not. Let us please allow ourselves at least to see the big picture, at least to see that those conflicts all have to do with jihad all over the world, jihad in the spirit of Muhammad. Ladies and gentlemen, Europe ought to fully back Israel in its guilt, in its relentless fight against those who threaten it, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's Hamas, or whether it's the nuclear Iran. Yeah. Also, because of its history, Europe certainly has the moral obligation to at all costs prevent another Holocaust against the Jewish people today. Ladies and gentlemen, however, Islam is not our biggest problem. Cultural relativism is the misconception that all cultures are equal. The elites, the political elites in our societies have converted this sick philosophy long time ago. Government leaders, even judges, churches, union leaders, universities, the media, all of them are blinded by political correctness and have chosen the side of Islam. They feel sorry for Muslims. They pity them. And cultural relativism, in fact, is weakening the West day by day. We are losing a bit of freedom because of this cultural relativism day by day. Many of our politicians seem to believe that their job is not to defend our democracy, but to help to make the transition into Sharia more easy and as smooth as possible. Well, let me tell you, not all cultures are equal. Our culture of our societies that are based on Christianity, on Judaism, and on humanism are far, far better than the Islamic culture. We should be proud of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm often asked whether I have also any answers to the problems that I'm giving you, and what those answers indeed might be. And I certainly have some answers. Let me give you a few examples of all the things that I already proposed in the Dutch Parliament that might also be good ideas for the rest of the Western society. First, I already spoke about it. Stop talking about cultural relativism. Implement an article in all our Western constitutions that says that we have a culture based on Judaism, about the nature of Islam. Admit that Islam is not a religion. Admit that Islam is a totalitarian ideology. In other words, the rights to religious freedom do not apply to this totalitarian ideology called Islam. Stop also the mass immigration from people from Muslim countries. Stop the immigration immediately. And besides stopping the immigration from Muslim countries, encourage the voluntary repatriation to the same countries. And ladies and gentlemen, for those people, for those Muslims who are already in our countries, who are already in our societies, if they behave, if they assimilate according to our rules, of course they are equal to anybody else. But if they become criminal, if they act in a criminal way, please don't send them to a social worker. Send them abroad, denaturalize them, and send them out of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I have many other solutions, but the most important thing I believe is that we get rid of weak leadership. We have a lack of leaders in Europe. We have, all of us have the privilege of living in a democracy. Let's use that privilege and exchange all those cowards that are leading so many countries in the world, exchange those cowards for heroes. We need more Churchills and we need less Chamberlains.
Right.
In fact, we have to go on the offensive. We have to stand up and start fighting back. We must no longer allow ourselves to remain seated in our cozy armchairs and get trampled over. If they bombard us with Sharia law, we will bombard them back with our human rights. If they bombard us with their court cases, we shall bombard them back with our court cases. We have to fight back, ladies and gentlemen. Millions of people in the world are sick and tired of it all. They refuse to take any more of this cowardness. We must make it clear. We must make it clear to all those people that millions of us, millions of freedom-loving people are saying enough is enough. This, in fact, is the reason that last week I announced a sequel, another movie in next year, in 2010, a sequel of Fitna 2. The movie will not be about the Quran this time, it will be about the Islamization of the West and of all those people, all those weak leaders who are responsible about that, about the consequences, for example, for free speech in our societies. And I assure you that I will continue with my struggle to fight for freedom, because a struggle indeed it is. After Fitna had been screened for the first time last year in March, there were threats all over. There were threats for even economical boycotts to the Netherlands. Our Dutch flag was burned all over the Middle East. I was prosecuted myself in the Netherlands, in Jordan, in France, the problems that we spoke about in the United Kingdom. I was not allowed to enter Indonesia and many other countries. Al-Qaeda was trying to kill me, made a fatwa over me. I lived in prison cells. Ladies and gentlemen, it's terrible, but let me tell you one thing. It's not about me. It's about our freedom, our own freedom. The freedom of you, your children, and your grandchildren is at stake here. And we should stand up and we should defend it. We should fight for our children's freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you at the beginning of my speech that I was going to be honest. So I gave you a lot of bad news, but fortunately, at least in Europe, there's also some good news. There is no doubt in my mind that at the end of the day, even though it's 5 minutes to 12, freedom will prevail. And there are already some hopeful signs. For instance, last week, the Dutch Parliament approved a motion proposed by my own Party for Freedom that said that any dialogue from any government with Hamas should be blocked. Yeah. And it was part of the good news is that, according to the most recent opinion polls, if elections were held today in the Netherlands, my party, the Party of Freedom, would be the largest party in the Netherlands. As a matter of fact, you might be looking at the next Prime Minister. And so I ask you all, I give you this example of my party and the popularity in the Netherlands. I ask you, if it can be done in the Netherlands, why not throughout the whole Western world? It's possible, ladies and gentlemen, it can be done. If the Netherlands were the first country to end up this whole multiculturalism and cultural relativism swamp, why can other countries not follow? Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I have not forgotten those to whom we owe our liberties. Our liberties in Europe were bitterly fought for. It were American soldiers who bled and died for European freedom. And those American soldiers did not die for an Islamized Europe, they died for a free Europe. We all in Europe owe something to those brave men. Their legacy cannot and will not be squandered and given away. And the third president and spiritual father of this great nation, the United States, once said, and I quote, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance." And as so often, Thomas Jefferson was right. Our freedom must be safeguarded. And it's we, it's us, it's ourselves who has to do so. One period of inattention, of dropping our guard for even a short while, might cost us our freedom. Just like that. It has happened before in our history. Please let us not allow it to happen again. Everything we stand for, has to be defended with all our might. Our culture, our democratic institutions, our freedom and our civilization. We owe it to our children. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with the expression of what I see as our determination. We will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never surrender. Thank you.